Oh my god, I'm such a fat fuck. I need to lose weight. Anyways, it's Friday the 13th in October, so I had to do some kind. Oh my god, did you see my eye? I looked so weird. Um, man, it's October and it's Friday the 13th, so I was like, I gotta do a horror movie review or something. I look back on a lot of these videos and I look at my hair and I think, what the fuck was I thinking? And that's what I'm thinking right now. What the fuck am I thinking? Oh my god, holy shit. I'm really putting this shit up on the internet? Anyways. So, okay, so this review is late. There's a reason for that. Okay, here we go. So, I said in my last video, the creator review, I didn't give a shit about this movie, and I didn't at the time. But then the movie came out, and it was getting good reviews, and everybody I knew was seeing it and saying that it was good. So I was like, fuck it. I have nothing else to watch, and it's October. Why don't I watch a horror franchise that I've never seen before? So I decided to watch every Saw movie, and that's what I did. I've seen every Saw movie. All 10 of them. So, I had always been mildly interested in the Saw movies. Like, I always knew what they were, and I always knew they had a really complicated story. But I never actually committed to watching any of them because, I don't know, it was just too long. You know, you compare it, like something like, I don't know, like Scream. That's like, I binged all those too, and I was like, that's 5 movies. That's manageable. That's a reasonable number. 5 movies, I can do that. 10 movies though? Oh my god. But I decided to do it. It's taught me a lesson that when a new movie comes out in a franchise I haven't seen, I should just watch all the other ones. So when new Hunger Games comes out, I'm not gonna make that mistake. I'm just gonna fucking watch all of them. Anyways. So, yeah, I've seen every Saw movie, and I'm going to go through them really quick. I don't want to spend too long on it, but I want to talk about them for a bit, because they're a funny series to talk about. Originally, I was going to do a podcast video on the Saw series, but I don't want to, because they're shitty, and I don't enjoy talking about them. So, yeah. So, Saw 1 is a decent little thriller. I'm going to spoil the entire Saw series, by the way. Except for Saw X, which we'll get to. So Saw 1 was a nice little thriller. It was interesting. It was cool. But a lot of that movie, a lot of what makes that movie good is like the mystery. You know, there's a lot of questions you ask when you're watching that movie. You're like, who's doing this? Why are they doing this? Does whoever's doing this, do they mean what they say when they say that they'll let him go if they win the game, or are they just going to kill them both? You know, what did these two do to deserve to be in here? What's going on? What's the meaning of all this? And it was a decent little flick. I liked it. It was whatever. It was fine. And then Saw 2, all those questions are answered. So Saw 2 doesn't have that going for it. You know what I mean? Like Saw 2, you don't have any of those questions. So Saw 2 was like, well, we can't really keep people on their toes like we did with the last one. So let's just turn it into a movie where you go, I want to see people die in cool ways. And that's what Saw 2 is. That's what Saw 3 is. And that's what the rest of the Saws are. Saw 2, you're watching it and you're like, yeah, it's cool seeing people die in cool ways, I guess. You know? I mean, nothing insane. Some of the gore is kind of neat, I guess. I did not see the twist I saw at the end of Saw 2 coming. I'll give it that. That was pretty cool. But yeah, Saw 2, it was alright. It was alright. And then Saw 3, Saw 3 was kind of like Saw 2. I liked it a little better than Saw 2, but I enjoyed it. I liked the traps. They were cool. Had that twisty trap, which was neat. That was something. And it also had Amanda, who we're gonna get to Amanda in a bit. But Saw 3 was good. I like Saw 3. I actually enjoyed. I think the first 3 Saws I enjoyed. I don't know if I'd call them good movies, but I'll say I did enjoy them. You know, they were fun. Saw 4, I hated Saw 4. Saw 4 was fucking garbage. So they kill off John Kramer at the end of Saw 3, right? And even the writers have said that was a fucking mistake. So Saw 4, they're like, well, this was John Kramer's final trap. Yeah, like, this is the final one. Fuck you. Saw 4 is when... Saw 4, they literally spend the entire movie trying to explain the movie to you, trying to explain what's happening, and I still had no idea what the fuck was going on. Saw 4 is also the film that introduces the worst character in the series, Jill Tuck, She's fucking terrible. She's so boring and uninteresting, and the writing is dog shit in her character. It makes no sense. Like at first she's like, I don't like you, Jigsaw. I don't like what you're doing. I think you're a shitty person. I'm leaving. But then later on, she was just cool with it. Whatever. Fuck Jill. Worst character. And you know, Saw 5 was like an improvement, I guess. Like it was a little better, but I still didn't really like it. It was a really boring police. That's the thing with Saw movies, is that they always have like a police subplot where like they're trying to investigate the killer, and I've never liked police movies or shows. I just think they're so boring. It's so boring watching a homicide detective walk into a crime scene with his hands on his hips and be like, I've seen one of these before. And then his partner comes in like, oh, officer, look, we found this. And then he's like, give me that. He gives it. He's like, he's calling himself the carrot killer. He's on the loose. I'm not gonna rest until I find this son of a bitch. And then the rest of the movie is just fucking boring as shit. I don't like cop movies. I'm sorry. That's why I didn't really care for Dexter. Like I liked when it was about Dexter being a serial killer, but it was boring as fuck watching all the police shit. Like I didn't give a shit. I just don't care. So I don't like. So and Saw 5 is literally like half of it is a police procedural. So I didn't like it at all. I thought it was boring as fuck. The traps were pretty lame in Saw 5 too. Saw 6 was a little better. I mean, half of it was like the plot with Jill and Hoffman, and that shit was boring. But I like the traps. I thought the traps were pretty good in Saw 6. I actually think Saw 6 has some of the best traps in the series. So you got half of a decent Saw movie and half of a boring as shit story. So whatever. And then Saw 7. I like Saw 7. I thought it was decent. I like all the traps in Saw 7. I like the idea of putting a guy who was lying about being in Jigsaw traps and putting him in actual, like, now Jigsaw really has him. That's cool. That's cool. So really, for me, talking about the main Saw series, I like the first 3, but once Hoffman becomes the focus, then I lose interest. I stop giving a shit because Hoffman sucks. He's okay. I don't give a shit. Like John Kramer's cool, but once it becomes about Hoffman, I don't give a fuck. And I want to talk about one thing that I think is wrong with the Saw series that I think they've even admitted is, number one, they killed off John Kramer way too early, which everybody knows. Like watching Saw 3, you can tell like, oh, they wanted this to maybe be the last one. And then Saw 4, like you can tell they were writing that having no idea what the fuck to do. So they killed off John Kramer too early. But I think another thing is they killed off Amanda way, 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 way too early. Because I'm not saying like Amanda was like an amazing character or anything, but I felt like there was so much missed potential with her. There was so much that you could have done with her. And you just wasted it by being like, oh, well, fuck it. She dies at the end of Saw 3. Fuck it. It's like, really? Like, you could have done so much more with Amanda. Like, I don't know. I would love to see a world where Saw 4 through 7 is about Amanda and not Hoffman. They probably still wouldn't be good movies, but I'd like them more. I really think they killed off Amanda way too early. There was so much you could have done with that character. So much. You could have made a movie all about her. It would have been... but I digress. Then we get to the spin-offs. Jigsaw. I fucking hated Jigsaw. I think might be the worst one. It was absolute dog shit. And I don't mean that from like, it messed with the timeline. I don't give a shit. It was so boring to watch. The traps were so fucking lame. There wasn't a single likable character in the whole thing. Even Tobin Bell, God bless him, but like, motherfucker, like he couldn't save this piece of shit. And then Spiral, same thing, fucking stupid. Again, it was a cop movie, and I don't give a shit about cop movies, Chris Rock, funny stand-up, but I think he was really miscast. Like you want to cast him, you cast him as like this hard, grizzled, cynical cop, and the character just comes off as really whiny and unlikable and boring. So yeah, I didn't like Spiral, and I hated fucking the villain of Spiral, like his voice, like Jigsaw has this deep and menacing voice. He's like, "Hello, Jimmy, you were locked in this bathroom as a key for your past actions, and the consequences are dire. You have 5 minutes to find the key." Like that's scary as shit. And then you get to this guy, and he's like, "Hello, I would like to play a game. You're locked in this room, and you gotta find the clues to get out. Do you have the will to live? Let's play a game. Like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, come on. Like, that's not scary. It was so obvious. The twist was so shit in Spiral. But yeah. So all in all, would I say I'm a fan of the Saw series? I enjoyed parts of them. Yes, but I'm not a super fan. I'm not like, I don't love Saw. Like, I love Scream. Like, I would consider myself a fan of Scream. But Saw, yeah, I like them. I like the first three. If every movie was as good as the first three, like if 4 through 7 was as good as 1 through 3, then yeah, probably. But I mean, but even then, 1 through 3, I don't like love. You know, I enjoy them. Um, so now we get to Saw X. Uh, I like this movie a lot. I think this movie is actually the best in the series. I think it's a little weird how this movie's getting like really good reviews. Like, not to say it's a bad movie, but it's just like, I wonder if it's just that the standards for, because these movies get fucking slammed by critics every time. So I wonder if their standards are so low that getting like a halfway decent movie was like compared to the other ones, you're like, this shit is a masterpiece. I want to talk about Tobin Bell. Tobin Bell's great. I've always loved Tobin Bell. Tobin Bell's awesome. And I would say he is unironically good in every Saw movie. Even at the worst Saw movies, he's good. Like, when he's on screen, he's very captivating. Like, he's really good when he's on screen. I always pay attention when there's a Tobin Bell scene. You know, even in the later movies where you can tell that, you know, he really is just there for a paycheck. He was still trying. Like, he was still trying to actively give a good performance, which I respect the hell out of. The funniest one is in Saw 3D when he shows up with a backwards baseball cap, looking like what the fuck was that? Like, they were trying to make him look younger. That was hilarious. And in this movie, he has the most screen time out of any other Saw movie, and he is, you know, he's the main character of this movie. This is his story. He's the protagonist. Every other Saw movie, the protagonist is whoever's going after Jigsaw, whoever's going to the traps. This one, John Kramer is the protagonist, and he is really good in this movie. Like, he is really charismatic, and you really feel for this guy. The first half of this movie, there's a trap here and there, but it really is just setting up the story, you know, of John Kramer and why he's playing another game this time. And it's really interesting. Did it get me to like John Kramer? Fuck no. John Kramer's a psycho. Let me talk about John Kramer's philosophy, okay? John Kramer believes that he's doing a service to humanity. He believes that he's putting people in these traps, and, you know, if they somehow get out of these traps, which sometimes they do and sometimes they don't, then they deserve to live, and they are redeemed of their sins, which makes no fucking sense to me, because, like, if you put a murderer in one of those traps and he escapes, like, does that mean he won't murder? Like, that doesn't make him a better person. It just means he wants to live. Like, what the fuck? And, you know, people see, I don't understand people who see Jigsaw as like this vigilante or anti-hero. He's not. He's a crazy fucking serial killer. You know, I think I see his character as just a narcissist. Like he's very delusional. You know, he believes that he's doing this amazing thing, but in reality, he's just a crazy psycho. Now, granted, some of the people he puts in these traps are shitty people. Actually, most of them are. But still, you know, like some of the moral like reasons he puts these people in traps doesn't make any fucking sense. Like in Saw 3, he puts this one guy, the main character of that movie, he puts him through the traps because he was mourning his child. Like, what the fuck? He did it to one guy because he pretended to be sick to work. He called in sick to work when he really wasn't. What the fuck? How does he even know these people? How does he get the information about these people? In Saw 3D starts with a funny as hell trap where you got two guys and they're like on the opposite sides of a box, and then there's this girl who I guess has been like manipulating them both, and she's on top of the thing, and like I just remember thinking to myself, like, how the fuck does Jigsaw know what's going on? He starts out and he's like, well, I guess it wasn't John Kramer, I guess it was Hoffman. But I mean, still, like, I could just imagine him being like, I don't know, like fucking, oh my god, Jesse broke up with Jonathan, and she cheated on Jonathan with Billy? Holy shit. I know who's going to my next trap. Like, what the fuck? I don't know why I had this microphone here, but what the fuck was that? But yeah, John Kramer's just he's an interesting character. He's at his most interesting here. I think Tobin Bell does an awesome job in this movie. Like, he really sells even though he remains stoic for most of it, he really sells this idea of this man desperate to cling on to life after this cancer diagnosis. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, no, John Kramer was really, really good in this movie. Really well done. Thought this was where his character was most not sympathetic or rootable, but the most interesting. I really like the first half of this movie a lot, where they're just setting everything up. And mild spoilers, but you already know. But he gets this message saying, "Hey, you have cancer, but there's this super secret procedure down in Mexico that can save your life." Now, first off, what the fuck? Like, John Kramer, like, you're a smart guy. You really fell for this? It's like, yeah, it's a super secret procedure. It's not approved by the states. It's down in Mexico. It's only by one person, and nobody knows about it except this one dude. What the fuck? John Kramer, are you fucking stupid? Like, people get scammed all the time. What the fuck? Like, I don't know, man. That's pretty dumb that John Kramer would fall for that. Let's be real here. But yeah, no. But the second half of this movie, which is him putting all these doctors that scanned him in the trap, is very, very entertaining, super entertaining, because these people are fucking terrible. They're awful. Like, they're shitty people. They're scamming people who are dying. Like, come on, that's terrible. So you want to see, like, as much as you don't want to admit it, let's be real, you want to see them lose these fucking traps. Now, let's talk about the gore. So, I'm not super into gore, at least when it comes to horror movies. I'm not saying this to be smart or to sound smart or different, but I really do enjoy horror that is just psychological. I like horror. I like slashers, I like Scream and shit. But for me, I like weird fucking A24 horror movies. Like, I like Hereditary, I like, Midsommar, in The Lighthouse. I like shit like that. I like weird Eraserhead. That's not an A24, but still, I like weird shit like that. So Saw, the main appeal, Saw's not scary to me at all. It's gore. And, gore it's cool. I like Mortal Kombat, but I'm not super into it. I'm just like, oh, cool. That guy, yeah, his head's not there anymore. That's cool. I don't know. Whatever, I'll admit, I'm not saying this to sound tough or anything, but throughout all the Saw movies, I've never really been squeamish at any of them. There's been a few that has made me go, oh, I'm not gonna lie. But there's only a few. But I would say about 90% of Saw traps, I haven't been very affected or fazed by it. And you're probably thinking, oh, Brennan, you're trying to sell them tough. No, not really, because if I were seeing any of these traps, literally any of them, even the tamer ones, in real life, I'd pass out. I would not be able to handle it. Because your brain knows when something's real or fake. And when I watch these movies, I know it's fake, so I'm not really affected by it. That being said, there's been a few traps in the series where I was like, oh shit. There was one, I think in Saw 7, where this woman's, there's a hook in her stomach, and this other guy has to pull it out, and it's really slow. That got me. That was like, ugh. But it doesn't really make any fucking sense that he'd be able to do that, but still, But this movie, it was violent, but not really as violent as the other ones. I think that there was one kill that was pretty violent, but other than that, everything was kind of he didn't really show much. So I don't know. I mean, it was whatever. This is a little bit of a sloppy review, I'm not gonna lie. But hey, this series is sloppy, so. But I did like this movie a lot. I thought it was very enjoyable. Tobin Bell is awesome in this movie. He does a really good job. Man, the guy's 81 years old, and he's the lead in a huge horror movie in 2023. That's pretty fucking cool, not saying he wasn't a big deal before Saw, but it's pretty inspiring that a guy, after being in such small roles for a long time, in his 60s, he became this horror icon, and now he's beloved by so many people. That's pretty cool. It's pretty inspiring, and it's a nice little reminder that, hey, if you're young and you feel like you don't have everything figured out, it's never too late to live a fulfilling life. It's never too late. And that's pretty cool. But anyways, what was I saying? Oh, Amanda's in this movie. I don't give a shit that she looks older. People were complaining about that online, saying, fucking John and Amanda look old. Yeah, no shit. It's 19 years after Saw 3. Of course they're gonna fucking look older. No shit. I didn't care. I don't give a shit that they look older. To me, it's cool seeing John and Amanda. It's cool. I like it. Amanda's hair was pretty. That was not it. What the fuck was that? That was a shitty wig. You could have given. I get that her hair's supposed to be short, because timeline or whatever. But you could have made it look better. You know, you could have made it. Come on, you could have made it look better. But I do like Amanda and John's dynamic in this movie about how her philosophy is slightly different from his, and they clash a little bit. But she ultimately does believe in what he's doing. And how she doesn't believe, like one of the girls in this trap who you could argue maybe didn't deserve to be there because she didn't do it out of malice. She just needed the money, you know? You know, Amanda's like, does she really deserve to be here? I mean, yeah, what she did was shitty, but like, you know, I've been there. And John's like, we all have free will. And then she's like, all right, well, that's the end of that conversation, you know? John Kramer was great in this movie. They really, I don't know, he felt more complex in this one, especially with the ending, which I won't spoil. But I will say the final trap of this movie does, like, no spoilers, but the final trap of this movie, or I guess the second to last one, does reveal a lot about John Kramer's character that I liked, and I thought that was cool. And the villains of this movie are fucking shitty. Not like shitty like bad, I mean shitty like, fuck these people, they are awful. They're so unlikable. You want to see them die. Like you do. So, yeah. Spoilers. I'm going to get into spoilers now. I don't know what the fuck they're going to do with that main woman, but it was so unsatisfying to not even know if she lives or dies or not. The final trap is so tame. Like, it's just gas being put in a room. Like, what the fuck? I wanted to see this bitch die, like, brutally. Alright? And that's all she gets. She doesn't even die. She lives? What the fuck? I don't know if they're setting it up for a sequel, but like, I don't know, whatever. I guess it's, and the credit scene. Like I said, I don't give a shit about Hoffman, so I mean, I guess it was cool to see him, but like, I don't give a shit. So. It was a cool callback to earlier in the movie, though, when that guy was like, the guy that told him about the procedure, the reveal that he was in on the scam too. That's pretty cool. So ultimately, Saw X, whatever. Is it a good movie? I don't know. Probably. It's my favorite Saw movie. It's pretty good. I think it actually does a lot of good things. Now, some of it doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, how would John Kramer know that these characters will make this decision at this specific time? I guess he's just psychic. But I mean, you know, I don't really take, like, if you really want to question, you're not gonna know what the fuck's going on, because number one, how is this 80-year-old dude with cancer like engineering all this shit in like a day? Like in the other movies, you can tell he probably spent like weeks on those traps. In this movie, he's in Mexico for like a week, so he probably had like what, a day and a half to make that shit, and he's dying of cancer. You bullshit. Okay, come on. But I mean, it doesn't really bother me because it's Saw. You know, you know what you want to see when you watch a Saw movie. So, in conclusion, I'm just going to talk about the Saw franchise. I don't love the Saw franchise. It's not my favorite thing ever, but I mean, I'm glad I watched them. I was like, yeah, sure. If I were recommending it to someone, like someone who's never seen the Saw franchise before, I would say watch the first... If you're interested in them, I would say watch the first 3. And if you really like the first 3, like you really, really like them when you watch them, then sure, finish the series. But if you're just kind of like, yeah, I enjoyed that, but, you know, I really liked John Kramer and they killed him, then just stop. Just fucking stop. Maybe watch this one, but just stop there. Watch Saw 3 and then watch this one. You're good. You know? Because John Kramer, like, yeah, that's how I feel about the series. Like, it was cool, and then they killed John Kramer and Amanda, and I don't give a shit after that. You know? I don't give a shit about everything after that. So really, I really only like the Saw movies where John Kramer's alive, so... No, but yeah, this movie, I would probably give it a 6 or 7 out of 10. I enjoyed it. Sorry this review's so late, man. I really didn't think I'd give a shit about this movie, but now I do. So yeah, Saw X was, I don't know, it was a fun movie. It knows exactly what it is, and I respect them for actually like, hey, we can't just make this like all the other Saw movies where a bunch of bullshit happens. Whether they succeeded or not is up to you. But I'm glad they actually said, you know what? Let's try and make a more mature Saw movie. Let's make a Saw movie. Let's try hard. Let's actually... Like, whether you like this movie or not, I can tell that they tried. And I like this movie. And I appreciate them for trying. Especially in the story. I think they told a really interesting story. The traps, not the best in the series, but they were fun. And John Kramer's at its best, and this is Tobin Bell's best performance in this series. And that's saying a lot because he does show up for every single one. He's great, but this is his best performance. And honestly, I think this is Shawnee Smith's best performance as Amanda too. I think Amanda was really. I'm so glad Amanda got a lot of screen time in this movie because, like I said, there was so much you could have done with that character, and I'm glad that they realized that and they used her. She was great in this movie. I would have loved to see like Amanda as Jigsaw, like because after John Kramer dies, basically Hoffman becomes the new Jigsaw. It would have been so much more interesting if Amanda was the one to do that. But hey, they can't go back on that now. I really appreciate what they did with Amanda in this movie. You know what? Fuck it. I am a Saw fan. I don't love it. I'm not like a diehard fan, but yeah, I'm a Saw fan. I enjoy them. So yeah, I'd recommend this movie. I mean, if you're a Saw fan, yeah, absolutely. If you don't really like the Saw movies, well, this one's not gonna change your mind. But hey, So yeah, the Taylor Swift movie's coming out. Probably not gonna see it because I have nobody to see it with me, and I don't want to look like a weirdo. So, Spider-Man 2 comes out. That's cool. Mario Wonder comes out. That's cool. FNAF. A lot of good stuff coming out this month. Rick and Morty comes back. Man, I've been rewatching Arrested Development lately. That show's funny as fuck. Gen V, that's going on. That's definitely a show that exists. Loki, man, that show's really good. A lot of stuff coming out. A lot of content, which is great, because last week there was fucking nothing except Ahsoka. This month, there's so much great stuff coming out, and also Gen V. No, but yeah, thank you all for watching. Saw X was really good. Yeah, Saw is a decent series. So, yeah, game over.